Sarah, build this up. The creaking suspense and like the ocean and
So creepy though. Like,
it's spooky.
welcome to Scary Mystery Surprise,
Where we talk about scary things that surprised us around the internet.
I'm Edwin.
And I'm Michelle. We're on the ocean. It's December 1872. I guess we should have gone in the time machine, but, we can't go in the time machine all the time. Sometimes we're just already there, guys.
I like it. I like when a story just, boom.
We're out at sea. We're 400 miles west of the Azores.
I have no idea where that is.
They're off the coast of Portugal.
Okay.
You are a crewman on the British boat, the De Gratia. You know, you're in the crow's nest. You're having a good time.
Heck
up
yeah.
there.
Love it.
The ocean is calm. You scan the horizon with your spyglass. You spot something strange. Oi, Captain, look over there. Captain David Morehouse looks in the direction you're pointing. There, drifting aimlessly, is a ship. Its sails are tattered. Morehouse is concerned and realized the floundering vessel is the Mary Celeste, a ship that had left 8 days before him from the same port on its way to Italy. Edwin, you're part of the boarding party sent out to investigate the ship. You pull alongside in a small boat. You're met with an eerie silence.
Heck no.
Climbing on board, there's no sign of the 10-person crew. You ordered the boarding party to search. Oi, this is peculiar. Search high and low, me lads. The boarding party splits up, searching for answers. The main hatch was open and secured. Within her cargo hold was her charge of 1,701 barrels of industrial denatured alcohol, untouched and unscathed. In the cabins, all the crew's effects were where they'd been stowed. Nothing had been touched. But as you search the captain's quarters, you find that the charts and the navigational equipment is missing. In the logbook, the last entry was 9 days prior, indicating that the Mary Celeste had been off the coast of Santa Maria Island in the Azores. So you're like, even curious, mate.
I love that. It's. I can almost imagine what this guy looks like if it weren't me. If it wasn't me.
Blimey. I understand that my accent might have gone Australian just then, but it's because you've been to a lot of ports, so
Yeah,
I'm doing
obviously.
it intentionally. But as you search the ship, you find that there's plenty of provisions left, so,
Go to town.
The only odd thing is that there's 3.5 feet of water at the bottom of the hold, but it's not gonna destroy the boat, the amount that's in there. It's not like a fatal amount. But they also find that the ship's lifeboat is no longer on board, and there are long cords and ropes just hanging off the back of the ship. So like just dragging along in the water.
Oh.
So it seems the crew, while the boat is still seaworthy, has abandoned ship for some reason, out in the middle of the Atlantic. What happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste? It's a mystery that's lasted to this day with no lack of ideas or theories. It's one of the most famous ghost ships to ever sail the seas. But the Mary Celeste may have been cursed before it even set sail. Now I'm just going to start with some brief background on the Mary Celeste as a boat. I think it's relevant because I don't know how anybody expected the outcome to be different.
So like before it was a ghost ship, like when it was
before
a
it was
real
even
one?
the Mary Celeste, it was called the Amazon, as piloted by Jeff Bezos
Nice.
on the high seas.
Leading us to success. Jeff Bezos.
Back when he was just importing books. He just loved books. Anyway, it was actually called the Amazon, and it was launched in 1861. And a guy named Robert McKellen was selected as her captain.
He has the name of a captain. Like, you realize that? Like, it just sounds like a captain.
All of them have, like, honestly, as I go through this list, you have to go to see if you have this name. But anyway, he was about to set sail on the maiden voyage of the Amazon, and he felt a cold setting in. But he was like, a little salty air is going to cure this right up, Famous last words for anyone in the 1800s, I think. Its original port was Nova Scotia, but the boat didn't even make it out of Canada because they had to turn around within a week because it had turned into pneumonia and he died like a couple days after they got back. So that was the maiden voyage of the Amazon.
Fail.
So the maiden voyage was then rescheduled and continued under the Captain John Nutting Parker. But a string of misfortunes continued on the ship. As she was sailing past Maine, it got stuck in some fishing tackle. When it arrived in England, it ran into a small boat and sunk the boat.
Sounds like a clumsy ship. Like, it's just like...
Sea folks are superstitious folks. I don't know what about this is like, let's keep sailing the ship.
Cursed.
Yeah, it's cursed. It just seems cursed. After its disastrous maiden voyage, it basically had kind of a normal 2 years as a merchant ship. It went to the West Indies, it went across the Atlantic a couple times. When Captain Parker left, he was replaced by a Captain William Thomas, who continued to operate the vessel, and nothing crazy happened until 1867 when it was caught in a storm, and he had to basically run the ship aground to save the crew. The ship was like severely damaged at that point. So it was a derelict wreck, and then someone acquired it after a few months, and his name was Richard Haynes, and he cleaned up the wreck and then made it seaworthy again, and then renamed the ship to the Mary Celeste, which is a big no-no in maritime superstition, and I went and I looked this up. Legend states that when every ship is christened, its name goes into, quote-unquote, the ledger of the deep, maintained by Neptune or Poseidon himself. Renaming a ship or a boat means that you're trying to slip something past the gods and you will be punished for your deviousness. Sailors are a superstitious people. I mean, there's so many things out of your control, like the weather, the ocean. Like, you would be like, don't make stuff you don't understand angry. And then a more practical reason is that boats are used to transport cargo. Each vessel has its own reputation, good or bad, all over the world. And then a sudden name change, therefore its reputation would be unrecognizable. And then, they could cause problems for the crew and the captain. That's the basic.
Branding.
It's all about branding, baby.
I don't think I've ever been on a boat.
You've never been on a ferry?
I don't think so. Just the one on
wow.
Disneyland.
Oh, well, all right. That's fair.
I need to go on a boat. Yeah.
Yeah, you should go on a boat. That's fun. So Richard Hayes had bought the ship, but basically he renamed it. He registered it in New York, but he wasn't a very good businessman or captain. So like within a year, it was seized by the creditors. But honestly, he kind of lucked out. He was just part of the curse, I guess, by losing the ship. But so anyway, it was then sold off to a guy named James H. Winchester. And in October 1869, he retrofitted the ship and just increased its size, and then hired Benjamin Briggs, a 37-year-old Massachusetts man, to be the captain. So the fact that a brig is a ship and then his last name is Briggs, I mean, come on. What else were you going to do with your life? He was going to take the ship to Italy, and he decided to bring his wife, Sarah, and their infant daughter, Sophia, on the trip as well. The Mary Celeste departed Pier 50 in New York and made her way out of the harbor. But this would be the last time that any of the 10 people on board would be seen alive. Are you ready for theories?
I'm ready, yeah.
What's your theory right now?
From the opening scene, I think that pirates had to do with it. Like, let's just say they showed up through some ropes. They climbed up the ship, found the captain, told the captain, I'm the captain now. And then tied him up to a chair, killed the rest of the crew, or dumped them out into the ocean so that there's no blood. Then they made the captain watch as they, I don't know, something suffering worthy here. Like maybe they just dumped them out and then they hopped back on their ship and then they left after taking, wait, they didn't take anything, right? Or, oh, dang it. Okay, so that just ruins it. Yeah, because pirates would steal. Dang it, that just ruined my whole thing.
Wow, you just, that's so funny because that's one of the whole theories. You just literally reasoned it all out. Yeah, I guess I don't have to cover that now. But yes, pirates were suspected at one point. But pirates aren't serial killers necessarily. They're not going to just come and kill an entire crew and then not take the loot. So the fact that the whole ship was still fully stocked means that it was not pirates. So that got eliminated.
Okay, second theory. Aliens.
That's also on the list.
Really? Oh, what? I swear I don't know this story. I swear I don't know this story.
What is this, that like Family Feud or whatever? Top 5 theories of what happened to the Mary Celeste.
Third theory then, mass psychosis.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Maybe they started talking about something that was happening. They all believed it. They reinforced it. They're like, the only way to save ourselves is to jump out, hope for the best. And they did. And then they just disappeared, I guess. I don't know.
That's a good theory. I mean, that goes along with, there's another theory about how the fumes of the industrial alcohol might have consumed them. And there might have been, there might have been a tiny explosion, which sent everybody to the lifeboat because they were scared of that.
The lifeboat.
Yeah, so that's a good theory. If any sort of fumes are involved, your brain's not working right. So, it could have been a mass psychosis. It could have been something like that.
Maybe something was threatening their lives. They jumped on the lifeboat, but then the lifeboat didn't make it.
Yeah, the cord got disconnected somehow.
Oh, that big octopus thing. You know that thing?
Ooh, that's on my list too. Are you guys the Kraken? What? Are you about to say the Kraken?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also a theory, is that it was the Kraken. But then it's like, okay, yeah, why would you leave the big boat if the Kraken is there and go in the tiny boat?
Right. Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
Same with all sea monsters. Like, that's also a theory, is that a sea monster crawled up and ate the crew or whatever. But then, like, why were some of the navigation equipment things moving and, like, a little lifeboat is missing? Why would a sea monster just pick and choose what it was going to eat off the boat or whatever?
Maybe one of the crew members got, I don't know, went all murdery and people tried to escape.
That's also a theory.
What?
Mutiny. Maybe some of the crew went crazy and killed the officers and then took the lifeboat.
Ooh.
And then it's a theory that maybe they'd gotten into the alcohol, but if somebody's drinking industrial alcohol, they're not gonna do anything. That they would have been knocked out pretty much.
Wait, so this ship was it still floating around, or like did
it was just floating around looking totally fine. It was seaworthy.
What?
When the De Gratia found it.
And what did they do with it?
There's this thing called salvage rights. So what ended up happening is that they towed it to shore, and then they got accused of killing everybody on board.
Oh, no.
Which there just wasn't any evidence that they had actually been murdered or anything. There's no blood on the ship. There's no anything like that. The De Gratia had left 8 days after the Mary Celeste. So the Mary Celeste would have had to have just been sitting there in order for them to even catch up with it. So that's one of the theories as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was about to say, like, so that's a theory.
That they could have done it, but it just doesn't seem quite right. It sounds like they just actually came upon it, which is way spookier.
The weird part is, how do you tow a boat like that? Like,
well, they had to split the crew, right? So it's like they towed it, but also, they had like 6 people manning it and then 6 people manning the regular ship. So it was tricky, but they did it. Also, another thing about the De Gratia, it had been caught in really bad weather, probably the same bad weather that the Mary Celeste got caught in, that like tore up the sails. This is the most likely theory that people have, is that it got caught in bad weather. It took on water. One of the pumps didn't work. And so the captain got panicked, was like, the ship's going down, even though it didn't go down, and put everybody in the lifeboat since he was with his family.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, according to the logs, they could see Santa Maria Island of the Azores from the boat at the time. So it's theorized that they loaded up the lifeboat with the crew and made for land. But then they just never made it.
That is so awkward, though. It's like, the ship is sinking, and then they leave, and then it's like they're off into the distance, almost by the island.
Yeah.
The ship is still there.
It's like, oh, the ship seems fine. Should we go back? Or that is like the most likely theory, is that, yeah, he loaded his family and his men into the lifeboat, set out for the relative safety of shore, never to be seen again. But Edwin, you're at sea again. On your way back to New York. This whole ghost ship business has been pretty unsettling. Especially getting accused of, like, murder as well, and then not doing that. But it's nighttime and the full moon illuminates the sky. You spot something in the chop of the waves. You grab your spyglass, ready to call Captain Morehouse. It's the pale outline of a lifeboat. It shimmers in and out of existence. You see the crew still rowing furiously to land, not aware that they never made it. And with the crest of a wave, the image is gone, and the ocean will keep its secrets. Blimey! I'm just staying in the Edwin character. So it continued to be used for 10 more years after it was salvaged.
Wow. What?
And also, another frickin' captain died.
What?
This other captain named Edgar Tuthill. Like, he just took ill and died. So they lost 3 captains on this ship. When the ship turned 20, whoever owned it decided it wasn't worth either continuing to have it or just declaring it a wreck. So they decided to use it in an insurance scam and ran it into a reef in Haiti to try and collect money as a part of the insurance scam, but they got caught. So they didn't get any money.
Good.
But yeah, and that was the end of the Mary Celeste, 20 years in service. The cursed sailing of the Mary Celeste.
I don't know. Like, it just sucks that that's the end. But it was like, it sounded like a cursed ship. So cursed that even the insurance fraud didn't work. Like, it's just the worst.
Poseidon is watching you. He can't even get away with just simple insurance fraud.
I love those stories, like out in the open sea, because it's creepy. Like,
I think about it like how high you are, but it's like, how deep the ocean is below you. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, you're just like kind of floating on this really deep bowl.
The bowl hole. What are we going to talk about next week, Edwin?
I don't know. I think it'll be a surprise.
Scary Mystery Surprise is hosted by Michelle Newman and
Edwin Covarrubias. This podcast was edited and sound designed by Sarah Vorhees Wendel of VW Sound.